What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Brinson. I'm your host. It is Tuesday, March 15th, and we are recapping Tuesday's action in free agency. Of course, when free agency starts, it also means it's March Madness, which means it's time to fill out a bracket. And if you're listening to the show or watch the show on YouTube, youtube.com/pick6, you will want to join us in our bracket challenge. I'll be there. Wilson will be there. Breech will be there. And we want you in there as well. Join us at cbssports.com/pick6 brackets. And the winner of the bracket pool will get a $100 gift card to Paramount Plus. Using P Plus, you'll be able to watch NCAA tournament games, tons of soccer from the Champions League, which is currently on, to CONCACAF, golf majors in the spring, and NFL football in the fall. Also, we're excited for the debut of Halo, which is streaming March 24th exclusively on Paramount Plus. Head to paramountplus.com/Halo to try it for free. Back to the brackets. Who just enters one pool? Nobody. You can also create a group to compete against friends and fill out your bracket for the chance to win a trip to the 2023 Final Four. You can play on the CBS Sports app or at cbssports.com/pick6 brackets. Link will be in the episode description. Joining me to break down Tuesday's free agency action, Ryan Wilson and John Breech. What's up, boys?
Hey.
Yo.
We're starting to get some, so things have been a little bit all quiet on the Western front, so to speak, with Deshaun Watson, like just kind of simmering. And it's starting to take off and really generate some heat in terms of where Deshaun Watson might end up going. And we think that we may have narrowed down his suitors to 4 teams, right?
Correct.
What 4 teams?
You've clearly been grinding in the draft lab.
Give me the names. I'll see if I have heard of them before.
Carolina Panthers.
Check.
The New Orleans Saints.
Check.
The Atlanta Falcons.
That's false flag. What's the other one?
The Cleveland Browns.
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah. So I knew those teams. I just knew that the Falcons. I think we all agree they're just messing.
Mystery team? We got a mystery team.
I thought, okay, so the
Falcons are the mystery team.
Falcons are the mystery team. I thought when I first heard that it was kind of more like all right, let me put it this way. The Texans benefit greatly from the convenient nature of 3 of the teams interested in trading for Deshaun Watson being in the same division.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me why. I can't believe they couldn't figure it out themselves. If the 3 teams are in the same division, they're competing.
You 100% was the person asking why, but go ahead.
Right. I mean, it's my idea. If you're competing for the same quarterback between 3 teams and you're all in the same division, it cranks up the leverage in the negotiations that the Texans have. I mean, it's obvious. Like, they have an immense amount of negotiating power if they are, like, it's one thing if you're just like putting multiple teams against each other. It's a whole different ballgame if you're putting 3 teams in the same division against each other. I mean, that is like, because you're thinking, if you're the Panthers, you're like, well, I don't want to play Deshaun Watson twice a year. Like, the whole point is we wanted Deshaun Watson.
But again, why do you think the Falcons are doing anything other than obfuscating?
Well, yeah, that actually could be the Falcons trying to drive up the price. But Deshaun Watson apparently is going to meet with the Falcons, and being from that area, it has been pointed out by many people that Arthur Blank has a pretty big infatuation with Deshaun Watson. The biggest barrier for the Falcons.
Deshaun Watson was a former Falcons ball boy.
There you go.
Big whoop.
That means a lot.
I don't think it's not enough.
You were never a ball boy. You don't know what it means.
I was a ball boy. And how dare you say I wasn't?
Who?
Campbell University soccer, 8th grade.
The Camels?
Yeah. How'd you know that?
Oh, I know all about Campbell.
There you go.
We're not talking about them, but
the problem for the Atlanta Falcons is that they just restructured Matt Ryan's contract to get themselves further underneath the cap by adding 3 voidable years on the back end of his deal. So Matt Ryan's deal now runs technically through 2026, his 41-year-old season. The final 3 years are voidable or automatically void. They're there just for signing bonus purpose. And his dead cap number in 2020, so he really only has 2 years left on his deal. His dead cap number for the Falcons in 2022 is $55.5 million.
Yeah, we've been saying that for months. So I don't know. Go ahead.
An even bigger part of that is that usually you say, oh, if they trade him, they'll save X amount of money, but there's not really.
No, they lose money. They lose money.
That's what I'm about to say. Is that so? Like, that's not even. You're the general manager going to the owner. Well, this is how much money we'll save if we trade him. Well, you don't save any money at all. It actually gets worse. So you're talking about. I have no idea how the Falcons would pull off this trade, considering Matt Ryan is a $55 million cap hit in 2022, and it bumps up to 73 if they trade him.
Will McLean in the chat asked, why would Houston want Matt Ryan? And the answer is they don't. I don't think that they would take Matt Ryan back. And unless they're like, I think they would just take a bunch of picks.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't even implying that Ryan has to be in this trade. I'm saying that I don't think Matt Ryan and Deshaun Watson would be teammates. So ostensibly, the Falcons will be getting rid of Matt Ryan, whether that's trading him to a different team, whether that's cutting him. Can you afford to have Matt Ryan and Deshaun Watson on the roster if Deshaun Watson's making $35 million?
Yeah, but here's the other thing. You trade Matt Ryan. Who's taking? How much of that are you going to have to eat if you're the Falcons? No one's taking all of that stupid. Right. So that's why I'm saying that they're messing.
A post June 1 trade of Matt Ryan.
Oh God. Why are you trying to make this happen? It's not going to happen.
The Indianapolis Colts would be a really good fit for Matt Ryan. A post June 1 trade would be $27 million, just under $28 million in dead cap space.
They ain't taking Matt Ryan.
I mean, would you rather have Matt Ryan?
Wait, so are you saying the Falcons hold on to Matt Ryan? Like, they have Deshaun Watson and Matt Ryan on the roster until June 1st?
How are they doing that math?
So the first round of OTAs, you have Matt Ryan, Deshaun Watson. Yeah,
it's a whole thing. I mean, Matt Ryan would just sit out or whatever.
Like Deshaun did
I'm not
last
worried
year.
about that. I'm not worried about the locker room. How do you making the salary cap work?
Yeah, that's the tricky part.
Okay, just as long as we're clear.
That is the tricky part.
And according to Over the Cap, the Falcons are in a spot right now. They have about $16 million in cap space.
I thought you were going to say $16, which I also would have believed.
The other problem is, what are the Falcons giving? So, all right. So with the Deshaun Watson thing, it's worth noting. Deshaun Watson has a full no trade clause. And I heard this pointed out, I think on NFL Network. And I can't remember who said it. One of the guys in the ties, Garofalo, Rap Sheet, or Pelissero, I believe, is that if Deshaun Watson, so the Texans prefer not to trade him to the Browns because they're in the same conference. They like their ideal situation, I think, is to the Saints or Panthers. But Deshaun Watson again has a full no trade clause. He could say, I want to go to Atlanta. And that's
why would he want to go to Atlanta if he's made it clear that he doesn't want to get sacked 400 times a season?
Just
bear with Brinson for a second.
Play along the hypothetical. Deshaun Watson says, I want to go to Atlanta. And they figure out a way to get him into Atlanta. I mean, I like if they're not going to not trade him.
Who?
The Texans. They have to trade Deshaun Watson. But he can say, no, you can't trade me. So he can dictate where he wants to go. If he wants to, for instance, they don't want to trade him to Cleveland and they want to get the most back. But Deshaun Watson can block that. So they're going to have the Texans and Deshaun are going to have to work together. If Deshaun says, I want to go to Cleveland and I don't want to go to the NFC South, the Texans would probably have to figure out a way to grease the wheels to make that happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think anyone disagrees with that. I think that they're probably trying to work something out, both the Texans and Deshaun Watson.
I know, but I'm saying that if he says, I want to go to Atlanta and I will block a trade anywhere else.
Well, the problem is Atlanta's going to come back and says, we can't afford you. That's then it's the end of the conversation.
Well, like financially afford him?
Yes.
I think they can find a way to afford him.
Okay. I'll give you 20 minutes and then 20 minutes I'll check back in and you do the math of who they have left and how Matt Ryan. And I mean, that team will be immeasurably worse with Deshaun Watson than they are right now.
And that's the other thing, because you have to give up players and draft picks. Like, it's funny that Deshaun Watson was a ball boy because he's be throwing passes to the ball boys because those are going to be his receivers. They lost Russell Gage. Who knows what's going on there? Obviously, no Calvin Ridley. I don't know why
that. You're down to Russell Gage in terms of important players they've lost, and they haven't even started.
Well, all right. Look, I'm just walking through the stuff here. If
you're Deshaun Watson, I'm Nick Casario, and I'm saying to you, man, I would love to send you to Atlanta. Unless you're going to work for minimum wage, there's absolutely no way. And then
the Texans would have to restructure his contract. The trade would have to happen before a trade and a restructuring of his contract would have to happen before like 24 hours from now.
Why
or you restructure his contract with Houston, and then that facilitates a trade. the Falcons could not take Deshaun Watson's contract and his $40 million cap hit in 2022 on right now. But I'm not sure that the Panthers or the Saints could either. And
I think the Panthers could. They're the best in the best situated to take.
The Panthers have very obviously maneuvered themselves into a position to give up everything and to trade for Deshaun Watson. Like that's
they're
clearly
under the cap too officially. Minutes ago, I just saw.
Okay. I mean, look, Carolina probably has the strongest offer because presumably they can give them three first-round picks and 2 players. By Ian Rappaport reported that the Saints and the Panthers both have strong offers out there. The Colts asked to talk to Watson, and the Texans said no, they're not going to trade him in the division.
That's hilarious.
I mean, I get why. You could also make the argument that if you take a bunch of first-round picks from the Colts, you're doing damage to their roster. Just a thought.
Maybe they don't want to lose 41-0 this year.
Twice this year, yeah.
Ooh.
And then, so, I mean, all right, so let's rank let's rank where we think Deshaun Watson would land as of 4 p.m. on Tuesday afternoon, because he's going somewhere.
Wilson, you go first? You want me to go first?
All right.
I'll go first.
All right, you go first.
I'll go first. I said it.
Falcons.
I said it yesterday. I'm pounding my fist because I'm going to keep pounding because my answer is still the Panthers, scissors. I think the Panthers are the most logical. I think they have the most cap room. I think they have the most to offer. They might not have the most talented roster out of these 3 teams, but it's
Wait
close.
a second. We said the most to offer out of which teams are you considering?
Out of the Saints, the Falcons, and the Panthers. I think the Browns are the wild card to me because if the Texans are willing to trade in the AFC, I think they have the highest ceiling for success in 2022 with Deshaun Watson. So
that's why I'm going with Cleveland, because Cleveland has the most to offer. I know there's the AFC concern there. They also have a ton of money, and they can trade some players. I'm sure they'll be willing to move on for some players. Andrew Berry's been pretty aggressive, it feels like, early on. He's got Amari Cooper. He cut Jarvis Landry. The offensive line's really good, even though Conklin's a concern, and they just cut J.C. Treader. Still better than the other 2 spots, and they're a good football team. And then I think you can also flip Baker Mayfield for some picks as well, because Baker's not going to go back to Houston.
Probably not.
No, they have Davis Mills. That's their dude.
Yeah, I think so.
And then you call up the Seahawks and you say how much for Baker?
Would you give up the 9th overall pick for Baker Mayfield?
No,
I wouldn't either.
I mean, he's on a 5th-year option. He's making $18 million this year.
I would for Gardner Minshew.
Hey-o.
But if you're the Browns and you got, well, here's the other thing. The reason the Texans, who I think if the Texans get rid of Deshaun Watson, they have plenty of cap space. You, in theory, would take Baker back and then flip him for an asset. Or if you like Baker, and remember that there were people in New England who liked him, so maybe it was Nick Caserio. But I'm just saying, you could bring Baker back and then flip him to the Seahawks for a 2nd-round pick or something like that, or a 2nd and 2/3 or something like that. That's not inconceivable. Or you flip him to the Colts.
He'd be good on the Colts. Be better than.
So is that your final guess? Since you asked us what was our guess as of 4 p.m. on Tuesday, Wilson has the Browns. I have the Panthers.
I mean, I would take the Panthers too.
Dang, Brinson, you're on the Panthers train?
I don't think it's a smart move by the Panthers, but I think David Tepper is going to go all in as possible. And the other thing the Panthers could do to facilitate this is you send Sam Darnold back to the Texans. Not as
Sam Darnold.
Just listen to me. Not as an asset, as a throw-in, because the Panthers need cap relief to fit Deshaun Watson underneath on the thing.
But that means that the Texans are taking on Sam Darnold's contract?
Yeah, but they don't care. They'll eat that $18 million for 1 year, and then
so like the Brock Osweiler deal.
But yes, exactly. Basically, the Brock Osweiler deal. Because if you look at the Panthers' salary cap, it is let's see, their 2 highest. I mean, the Panthers are a mess, man. Their 2 highest figure salary cap guys are Sam Darnold at 18.85, then Robbie Anderson at 16.83. Christian McCaffrey at 14.3, Shaq Thompson 13.1, DJ Moore, Taylor Moton. I mean, the problem for me is, are you really going to give up 3 first-round picks plus Derek Brown plus Brian Burns for Deshaun Watson? Like, that is crazy.
Well, you said it's not in their best interest. What is in their best interest?
I mean, to sell the team to somebody else.
Yeah. Okay.
Fire Matt Rule. I don't know. I mean, like, I actually, you know what? Since Breech went the Panthers, I'll zig a little bit. I'll say the Saints because the Saints just find a way to make stuff happen. It's indoors too, which I think Deshaun would like.
And you know, another interesting thing about the Saints is that Terron Armstead still hasn't signed, and it feels like he's kind of waiting this out. Like, you know, if you guys trade for Deshaun, maybe I'll stay in New Orleans, take a slight discount because you have the number one left tackle on the market. They're usually gone pretty quickly.
You know, the other interesting thing about the Saints is if they traded for Deshaun Watson this season, do you think that Dennis Allen is definitely their head coach next year?
Why wouldn't he be?
Somebody else
Peyton comes back?
Peyton comes back and coaches the Saints again?
No, he ain't coming back. Not next year.
He's going to Dallas.
Yeah.
I mean, if they all of a sudden had Deshaun Watson, like I think Sean Payton would be pretty interested in coming.
But he
back.
Hasn't been involved in a month and a half. He's not just going to come.
It wouldn't be surprising at all if he were like a shadow figure right now.
It would surprise me very much because why be a shadow figure when he could be the head coach?
Just burned out. I don't know.
Can I stir the pot a little bit, Brinson?
Absolutely.
I feel like saying something that I totally believe that you may think is crazy. And our British buddy Stub Rumhill asked, "Is Watson legit top tier quarterback? Where does he rank?" Deshaun Watson next year, not a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, you hate Deshaun Watson.
The list I put in the chat. Yep.
What'd you put?
Could have formatted that a little bit better. I thought it would have showed up differently.
Right, so Mahomes.
I'm taking all these guys over Deshaun for next year for 2022.
Okay, stop me when I say somebody you want Watson over Wilson or Breech. Okay.
Do you see how? Wait a second. Should Debo put this in the chat?
It's terrible.
It's one word. Come on.
I did it in a. I'm gonna redo it.
Is it a joke?
All right.
Go ahead, Prince.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah,
I'm going to read names and you buzz in when you're ready.
This is just for 2022, right?
Just for 2022. Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
Aaron Rodgers. Just don't say anything until you're ready to say you want Watson over the person.
Okay.
Patrick Mahomes. Aaron Rodgers. Tom Brady. Josh Allen. Joe Burrow.
Bzz.
Oh, you'll take Deshaun over Joe Burrow?
So you're not going off Debo's list. You're doing your list.
I knew y'all were buzzing on Russ.
Oh, I was getting ready to pre-buzz, and then you zigged on me.
No, I knew you wouldn't buzz on Brady or Allen, so I was trying to get as many.
Wilson or Brinson, you could have got another one in there on Wilson before Burrow.
Gina
with Herbert. Yeah, I was worried.
Oh, Herbert, I would have stuck with Herbert.
Okay. What about you for Herbert, Breech?
I didn't buzz in. I'm trying to play by the rules here.
Okay. So all right. So Justin Herbert. So Wilson. So all right, and then Lamar Jackson. Dak Prescott.
Biz.
Okay. So are you buzzing on Lamar, Wilson?
No, I didn't. My initial buzz is on Burrow.
Okay. So everyone else I've read since then, you would still take.
Oh, I would still take Deshaun. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Matthew Stafford.
Yeah. Come on.
Okay. So. I think there's a case to be made that.
Well, so Wilson, I have him in the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, I probably have him in the top 10 too.
And I think you have him top 6 or 7. Bro.
I mean, I think there is some. If you're a team trading for him, you do have to be like just a little worried because he just took a year off. You know, it's not often you see.
So Breech, remember, I think Brinson was out He was actually partying that night. A happy party, not bad party in LA. But we were sitting at that table with BMAC and BMAC.
Oh, I was at my buddy's house.
Yeah, no, this was like. The sun was still up, so you were just, you're having a cocktail at the pool or whatever. But BMAC was telling us, and Prisco was there, and I'm pretty sure you hadn't left yet, Breech, but that he thinks that Deshaun is like top 2 or 3, but his concern is the same concern you have, that he's taken off a year, so we don't know what he looks like.
It's a big concern. I think it's a legit concern.
But he was saying, like, he's right up there with Mahomes and Allen. Like, there's, if he's playing on that team, like, put it another way. So I'll ask you, Brinson, what does the Texans look like from 2017 to 2020 with Patrick Mahomes? I mean, are they that much different than Deshaun Watson?
No.
Yeah, I think that's the thing.
I mean, like I say this all the time, and I'm not trying to disparage Patrick Mahomes at all. But, and by the way, feel free to rank where you think in the chat, rank where you think Deshaun is relative to the other quarterbacks, like where you would put him or who you would take him over. I mean, if you put like Deshaun, like Watson gets killed for constantly creating sacks by holding onto the football. Patrick Mahomes would do the exact same thing if he played on that Texans team and he didn't play in an Andy Reid offense. Like, I mean, Mahomes is incredible and like one of the all-time talents and one probably going to finish as one of like a Hall of Fame all-time quarterback. But if he doesn't land in Kansas City, he doesn't progress as quickly as he does, in my opinion. I think if he goes to Chicago or if he goes to Houston, he's a little bit maybe takes him a little bit longer to progress. One more quarterback. Deshaun Watson or Carson Wentz.
I mean, for me to say, and I said this last year, Dak over Deshaun, like that takes a lot for me to say Dak over Deshaun, but I believe it. I threw Stafford on there just for fun. I would have him in the 8 to 9 range. But I don't think it's crazy to say
it's not unreasonable to say he's not a top 5 quarterback.
Right. To say Burrow or Herbert, and obviously Allen and Mahomes. I mean, I think Russ once he gets back to health, and then I think we're sleeping on Lamar, like a former MVP and more accomplished than Deshaun Watson in his career. Deshaun Watson's played 4 years. Lamar's played 4 years.
What does Lamar look like in Houston?
Yeah, I mean they built around Lamar. Like it makes like
you got Bill O'Brien trading everybody on that friggin' team except Deshaun Watson.
I don't think it would be crazy that Matthew Stafford has a better 2022 than Deshaun Watson, especially if Deshaun Watson's on the Panthers.
Well, good Lord, yes, I will agree with that.
I mean, I'm just saying they have no offensive line. They're flopping around.
What if Deshaun's on the Saints though? Who has a better year, Stafford or Deshaun?
I mean, I still think it's entirely possible it's Stafford just because they have a good offensive line, even with losing Andrew Whitworth. We'll get to that in a second. But good weapons. I mean, the Saints have Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. Like that's probably where I'm saying Saints.
I don't until Kamara gets traded to the Texans in the Deshaun Watson deal.
I don't think Christian McCaffrey or Alvin Kamara would be involved in a trade like that. I think they would much rather get back picks and players on their first. And I believe that was even stated is they want players on their first contract. They don't. It's been reported the Texans don't want like Christian McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey's not even a ascending asset at this point. The Panthers would be thrilled to get rid of him, and it would eat up a bunch of salary cap space. Okay. Any other thoughts on Watson? And I don't think Cleveland's out of the running yet either.
Yeah.
I think the strange thing about Cleveland being in the running is what does this do with the chemistry between Stefanski and Baker Mayfield?
Yeah,
I mean, if you're Baker Mayfield, you are irate. The Browns are literally out there trying to replace you, doing it publicly. And obviously these two didn't seem like they were on the same page during the 2021 season. And now you're just throwing gas on the fire.
Breech, let me ask you this though. How much angrier could Baker Mayfield possibly be after his shoulder fell off and he just said, screw it, I'm getting surgery in week 17 or week 18, whenever that was, when they kept making him throw the ball when his arm was dragging anyway.
A little more.
Here's
here's
kind of an interesting note too. And shout out to John McClain, the great writer for the Houston Chronicle. I was reading his article on this, and this is before the Falcons got in the mix, but he basically said that Deshaun shot down Seattle, shot down Philadelphia, which is interesting. Was looking at Carolina and New Orleans, and also interested in Cleveland. And he pointed out, I forgot about this. Do you guys remember the only time? So Deshaun's played the Browns 3 times. He has beaten them twice in Houston and lost to them once in Cleveland. In 2020 when they were the good Browns? Do you remember what happened in that game?
No idea.
Would you like me to refresh your memory?
Sure.
Yes.
The weather was so bad they had to get the fans out of the stands. It was like lightning and stuff, and fans had to clear it. And they finally get out there, and the wind is whipping so hard off the lake. Deshaun ends up going 20 of 30 for 163 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Surely that has to cloud his interest in going to Cleveland and playing in that stadium year round. Like, you could be as good a quarterback. Like, that stadium for like a month and a half every year can completely diminish any quarterback's like ability to throw the football.
Oh, my question would be, what were Baker Mayfield's numbers in that
I
game.
was going to say there are two quarterbacks playing in the game. It's not like just going to happen to one person.
Well, so if you have the quarterback who can obviously handle that weather better, you're
Baker was 12 of 20 for 132 yards, 0
Yeah,
to 2.
exactly. There you go.
They're both terrible.
Yeah.
But then you would still rather have Deshaun Watson over Baker Mayfield.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, no question about it. I'm saying for Deshaun's purposes, remember, he can veto where he goes. So I'm going to say Saints.
If he vetoes it for that reason, that seems soft to me.
It's absolutely soft.
I mean, I get it, but it's not like you're out there by yourself and then Baker's thrown in the tunnel and has the benefit of playing indoors. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah. Anyway, should we take a break and then come back and we'll
get the actual moves?
We'll talk some winners and losers in free agency coming up next. So, I didn't know if we had a commercial or not. We really run a tight ship around here. We had the NFC South listed as winners. I would say they're losers because Tom Brady's back and Deshaun Watson's coming. Two teams are going to be losers. Winners, clear winner, the Baltimore Ravens, who picked up former Saints safety Marcus Williams on a 5-year, $70 million deal, a huge contract. The safeties have been getting paid out there. I mean, look, I love Marcus Williams as a player, and I think the Ravens do as good a job as anybody, Wilson, of developing veteran safeties and just getting the most out of them.
Yeah, this is huge. They signed Tony Jefferson a few years ago. That didn't work out. He's actually back with the team now, but they actually paid him a pretty good free agency price, if I recall correctly. It just didn't happen. They drafted Jason Elam a few years ago. I think his name was Jason, in the first round, and that was an absolute unmitigated disaster. So they've been trying to find guys in that post Ed Reed world, and I love Marcus Williams. I think he was the guy that was actually in coverage in the Minnesota Miracle.
It's correct.
He sort of just whiffed on it as a rookie. Whatever, dude. The dude bounced back. He's a good player. It makes that secondary better. And they have some issues in the secondary, and just in terms of Marcus Peters towards ACL last year before the season, so he'll be back. He's in the final year of his deal. I mentioned Tony Jefferson's back. They have Geno Stone, who I like coming out, but he's more of a role player, special teams guy. And then Jimmy Smith's a free agent. Tavon Young's a free agent. Chris Westry, I believe they're not going to re-sign him. So there's some holes to fill there, and I love the addition of Marcus Williams, who I will predict right now will have 8 interceptions versus the Bengals in 2 games next year.
I hate that prediction.
Matt Elam, by the way. Thank you, Debo, not Jason Elam.
Who's more likely to throw 8 interceptions against the Ravens, Mitch Trubisky or Joe Burrow?
By the way, you didn't call out Jason Elam, the kicker for the Broncos, when I just called him out as the safety for the Ravens. Pay attention, Breech. Matt Elam.
I'm not out to call you out live on a podcast. That's mean. That's mean-spirited.
Just to say I wasn't paying attention.
I wasn't paying attention. You know what, though? It's crazy because the Ravens obviously prioritize getting safety help. We've seen them go out and get guys before. We saw them sign Eric Weddle. We saw them sign Earl Thomas. So, like, they love going out and getting a veteran. So it feels like they think the safety is a key part of their defense. And they kind of work back to front to make that defense good. And it's good every year. So whatever they're doing is working. And to get the nail on the head, Wilson, I think Marcus Williams is a good addition for the Ravens.
Getting paid, too.
He is getting paid. Maybe not at that rate, but good addition.
Baltimore seems like a really good bounce back team next year. You know, Pittsburgh. I mean, like Pittsburgh's got, Pittsburgh may or may not have improved with Trubisky.
They won 8 games with 79 people on injured reserve. I would say definitely.
Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati is like I'm not trying to throw shade. Cincinnati feels like a regression team.
Why are you throwing shade, man?
I'm not. I'm just saying Cincinnati. I mean,
Brinson, the Bengals don't have to regress for the Ravens to be good.
I'm just saying they're an obvious bounce back. Like everybody's going to pick them to be a playoff team.
Yes,
because if they're healthy, and then you add Marcus Williams into the mix. The Jets have been busy bees.
The Jets are a huge.
The Jets have been frequent free agent flyers.
Yeah.
We don't have a
dunk.
We don't have a boo. Yeah, so I'm just dunking myself for a terrible joke. They added DJ Reed, CJ Uzama. The Uzama contract was insane. Like 3 years, $24 million, which is kind of crazy.
How'd you feel about that, Breech?
I didn't think he was gonna. I mean, I didn't want the Bengals to give him that kind of money, so I'm fine with it.
That's right.
All right.
That's what it comes down to.
They also added yesterday. I don't think that we may have. I think we touched on it probably, but they added Laken Tomlinson, It's interesting. You see Laken Tomlinson get massive money. He comes from, it'll be interesting to see like this happen with Belichick a lot. How will this happen with Kyle Shanahan's former players, right? So like Laken Tomlinson comes from San Francisco where he's a Pro Bowler in 2021.
I don't think he missed the start in the last 4 years either. I think that's right.
He did not. He's from Duke, right? He went to Duke. That's right. Drafted by the Lions in the second round, third round, the first round. My God, forgot about that. 2015. Played for the Lions for 2 years, and then he just goes to San Francisco and is good naturally. But like, I'll be curious to see how the value for former San Francisco players could potentially spike because of all these Kyle Shanahan disciples out there in the market if they're competing. Like Mike McDaniel and Robert Saleh are maybe out there trying to chase Laken Tomlinson, a player that they know can be great in their offensive scheme. Will that cause the price of these guys to rise? I don't know. I think that's kind of interesting. Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Laken Tomlinson is really good. That helps
For sure.
And I like what the Jets are doing. You have Robert Saleh, a defensive coach, bringing in two guys in the secondary, Jordan Whitehead and DJ Reed. So it does feel like the Jets are making smart decisions, which are not words we've used in the same sentence with the Jets very often. And so, Saleh just kind of got his feet wet last year, wasn't going to turn that franchise around in one season. But to see them add two defenders like that, and then obviously I think the Tomlinson signing was huge, but the big question in New York's just going to be, is Zach Wilson any good? Because I don't think we know that yet.
That's hard to tell when you're laying on your back every single play.
It is hard to tell.
Yeah. So the Jets have been like, again, I like beefing up the secondary because you need to do that. They actually have some kind of interesting players on their defense now. Like if Carl Lawson is able to come back and be healthy and Quentin Williams maybe takes a step forward, they got some guys. You could kind of squint and talk yourself into this defense, right? Maybe.
Well, again, it just comes down to Zach Wilson. I mean, they got to sort that out. If you don't have a quarterback, it doesn't matter.
Fortunately, they had Joe Flacco in the behind him.
They could sign Mike Lennon.
Kickers were winners.
Yeah, kickers.
Specifically, Young Wei Koo, who signed a 5-year, $24 million deal with the Falcons.
That's why they couldn't sign Deshaun. They signed Young Wei.
I know. Smart move.
Do we see the actual numbers on that? What's his cap?
5.24, I believe. Is that right?
I know. I'm saying, wondering what his cap it is.
Oh, so Breech, where does this rank among all the kickers?
As far as salary, or as far as being
average
a smart
annual?
Move? It's definitely up there because just over 5 was the highest any kicker had ever been paid with average annual salary, and I think that's what Justin Tucker's at. So this is right right underneath that, I would say.
So let me ask you this:
we haven't seen the specifics of it, so we don't know what his cap hit will be.
Right, so we don't know his cap hit, but the numbers are pretty enormous. And Breech, this kickers tend to fluctuate from one year to the next. Are you okay with this?
Yeah, I think he was a restricted free agent, so they could have given him a smaller deal. But I think that if you're a kicker and you have 2 straight really good seasons, that's when a team needs to lock you up because kickers are so inconsistent. Jason Myers and Mason Crosby in 2020 were the only 2 kickers in the NFL to make every single one of their field goals. And you're thinking, oh man, they're going to be awesome again in 2021. They weren't. They ended up being 2 of the worst kickers last season. They both hit fewer than 75%. So that's a huge drop off. Young Wei Koo, not doing that. He is the only kicker in the NFL who has hit 93% or more of his field goals in each of the past 2 seasons. So you're talking about he has been more accurate than any other kicker in the NFL over the past 2 years. He also makes all his extra points, which is a big thing now. Him, Justin Tucker, and Debo's boy Jake Elliott were the only kickers in the NFL last season who made at least 90% of their field goals and 100% of their extra points. So I think this is a smart signing. A lot of teams just think you can cycle through kickers and that's going to work for you. Hello, Chargers. That's what they've been trying for so long. They obviously just gave Dustin Hopkins a 3-year contract, so they're trying to get out of that. But for the most part, it doesn't work well for you. So if you got a good kicker on your hands, Hold on to him. It doesn't take a big bite out of your salary cap. Give him money. Hold on. Brinson's making the face like,
I would say that if you're gonna like a kicker like Justin Tucker, it's a no-brainer. And Young Wei Koo maybe is an elite kicker, but
he struggled early on. He got cut by the Chargers, I believe, right?
By the team who cycles through kickers because they're not willing to wait to see if they're any good.
Also, the fact that you're an indoor team and this guy's been successful and is a great onside kicker. I mean, like I could. You can talk me into it, but I just don't like. I don't like giving big contracts to kickers.
Well, I think my response to that would be if you're saying you have a kicker under contract for say $4 million, and we need to save $2 million, so we're going to get rid of our $4 million kicker and go get this other guy for $2 million, and then that other guy costs you 3 games with missed field goals, and that's because you want to save $2 million when you could have easily cut that out of a backup at another position. This is a starter. You need to invest in it like it's a starting position who could cost you games or win you games. And some teams do that, some teams don't.
Nobody stubs harder for these kickers.
That's why we have Breech on. He has to.
Speaking of getting the bag, you know who else got the bag for like the Chase Daniel? Signed another $2.5 million deal to be a backup.
The richest man in America, Chase Daniel.
I mean, on a per throw basis, he might be the richest.
Who's made more? No one on a per throw basis is what I'm saying. Like who's earned more money by holding a clipboard?
I mean, no.
Marcus Russell.
And he's going to the Chargers, by the way, to back
it.
Justin Herbert. So, pretty good gig. You're living in Los Angeles, making $2.25 million.
He's probably bummed that he's got to pay all those taxes. He probably wish he'd gone to the Jaguars or something.
I don't think he's worried about money. I mean, I need Chase Daniel career earnings.
It's over 40 million.
He's made over $40 million. Are you sure about that? It's 30. I think it's 30. It's right at $40 million going into next year, right?
Something like that. How many passes has he thrown?
Let's say it's $40 million. He has attempted 261 passes in the NFL.
Yes. So his career earnings are 38.9. And when you throw in
the 2.2,
this contract, that will put him over 40.
So he's making, I think I may have done that wrong. So he's making $15,000 plus per pass attempt.
I'll note Jamarcus Russell, $61 million deal with the Raiders, getting drafted number 1. Didn't get all that.
I did that wrong. No, he's making $150,000 per pass attempt.
Use your phone. Don't do it in your head, dumb.
I do it on my computer. I thought
how many pass attempts, Brinson?
264. 261.
161 pass attempts?
261.
Okay.
I saw the number pop up. I was like, well, that can't be right. He's not
153,000. And Debo, what was Jamarcus Russell? He threw
61 million, and he threw 680 times in his NFL career.
Yeah, so
that's like $9,000 a pass.
Yeah, that's
Chase wins.
That is wild.
Chase does win.
The richest man, the single greatest producer of cash on a per throw basis in NFL history.
And perhaps more impressive than Jamarcus, who's the first overall pick, Chase was undrafted.
Yeah. By the way, one more winner or a possible winner out of today, not as an NFL situation, but Sunshine, a big possible winner. Did you see?
You're stealing my winner. Well done.
Were you going to go with the daylight savings time thing?
Love it. Go ahead.
So just to be clear, we're going to stay in like spring forward mode, right? We'll never fall back.
Well, it's unanimous consent, so I don't know how far along the bill making track we are. I don't know if it's been passed.
They're not suggesting we would be fall back permanently.
Right, but I don't know if we're at the point where
we would stay ahead permanently, and it would go into effect in November 2023 because the House of Representatives still has to pass it.
There you go. Thank you.
Okay.
But and by the way, reaching across the aisle, Rubio and White House came together on this.
I mean, this is like, we're like, there's World War III is imminent, and it's like, all right, hold on, we got to bang out this Sunshine Protection Act and fix daylight savings time.
That's also a point.
You know what, though? Our government got something right. Let's just celebrate it.
Yeah,
I know. These didn't
That's what we'll be yelling.
Screw something up. We'll take the W. Always take the free W.
Keep that.
The biggest loser is though out of this. Phoenix. They're now in the Pacific time zone. They used to fluctuate between time zones depending on the.
Oh, that's right.
That's a
they used
winner.
to be in the Mountain time zone for half the year, and even though they're on Mountain Standard Time all year, but they'd be in the Pacific time zone half the year, Mountain time zone half the year. Now they're just in the Pacific time zone.
Any other winners? I think you could probably continue to say that that Trevor Lawrence keeps winning, even though I don't.
The Jaguars are losing.
I don't like what the Jaguars are doing. relative to the moves, but I do like that they are making the moves to put stuff around Trevor Lawrence. They added Evan Ingram. I don't even know if we've seen the money on the deal. It's probably not going to be much.
I think it's 1 year sub 10 million.
Okay. And the Jaguars also released Miles Jack.
Why are you signing Zay Jones to a three-year, $24 million deal when you have Laviska Shenault? Like, I don't understand some of these moves.
And DJ Chark signs for a 1 year, $10 million deal to the Lions. Like, what are we? I mean, wouldn't you rather have DJ Chark on a 1 year, $10 million deal than Zay Jones on a 3 year, $24 million deal?
Now they have 0 number ones on the team. But so, yeah, I don't know if trade. I mean, I get it on paper. The team looks better, but I don't know if they're using their resources wisely.
Yeah.
Another winner, Big Ben, because he's now will be a first ballot Hall of Famer after some dummy said he may have to struggle to get in after the first ballot.
Stealing that from my winners and losers list, Ryan? What?
I put that in Slack yesterday.
It was in my winners and losers list from Sunday night.
You know what else you could say is winner is me because I can't be burnt for that take.
Why not?
Because Tom Brady won't be kicking like Ben
it will still be recognized as an idiotic take whether Tom Brady retires or not.
No, I said Tom Brady would be the cause of him not becoming a first ballot Hall of Famer.
But even that was stupid.
So what if he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer and Tom Brady's not involved?
If Tom Brady's not involved, he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. It's a dunk. We do an emergency 30-minute, just me pressing the dunk button while Wilson tries to get a word in.
Oh, just like every other podcast.
Yeah.
Right on cue.
Yeah, I would say it Brinson winner because if Brady plays like another 3 years now, it gives Rivers a clearer path without a quarterback to compete with.
That's a great point. And Aaron Rodgers officially signed his contract, and he has gone from maybe I'll retire to I'm definitely playing 2 years and maybe 3 more years, which is the Packers are huge winners there too. If they get 3 more years of Aaron Rodgers all of a sudden,
I don't think anyone thought it was 1 year, did we?
I don't know if a guy's deciding whether he wants to play or not. I'm assuming that he's
at this point. I don't trust anything he says.
I mean, I would list them as like half winners. I'm not going to just say they're automatically a winner because the contract says he's going to play 3 more years. Does that mean he's not going to create offseason drama each year? And the big part is if after 2023 he decides to retire, the Packers would take a cap hit of what is this number here? $68.2 million.
Yeah, in dead cap space.
That seems like a problem that you got to worry about. Hey, what if Aaron decides he just doesn't want to play anymore after 2 more years? Then you're stuck with that last year and a $68 million dead cap hit.
So we should just go ahead and break down the Rodgers contract because we were pointing out on Monday that he had not officially signed a contract and that we just didn't know what the deal was going to be. And so
my theory was that he was waiting because he wanted to spite Rappaport. And I feel like the contract's right. He made his agent, hey, bro, we're not doing 4 years, $200 million. Let's do 3 years, $150.
So he did 3 years, $150 million. It's essentially like a 2-year extension. Wait, I was seeing. Okay, so I mean, like, if these cap numbers are hilarious,
bonkers.
If they were to release him before this year, which I mean, obviously that's not happening, but his dead cap hit would be $175 million. His cap hit is 28.53. Like if they had to release him, it would be a problem. If they released him before 2023, his dead cap hit would be $146.8 million. Now, I think what would happen is after 2023, if he's like, I don't want to play anymore, you would figure out a way to restructure it and just like there is going to be some painful salary cap ramifications down the road for the Green Bay Packers. But I think what they're doing is kind of taking the Rams, Saints, Bucks approach and shoving all in on Aaron Rodgers and presumably eventually Devontae Adams. If they cut him before 2024, his dead cap hit is $115 million. And yes, he could walk away. He'd have to pay a bunch of money back, but he'd have to walk. He could submarine their cap if he wanted to.
Definitely. And like I said, the drama comes after 2023 because you have that huge cap hit if he retires of $68 million. And guess what? You know who else's contract expires after 2023? Jordan Love. So what do you do with him? Do you keep him or do you if you keep him, you have him.
Does that include his 5th year option? You're assuming
no. His 5th year option should be 2024. So if you keep Jordan Love, you have 2 more years at a cheap rate, but you would have to make the decision on that 5th year option following the 2022 season. And then if you do pick up the option, and now you have Jordan Love's 26, 27 million for 2024, and Aaron Rodgers at his cap number in 2024. I mean, that's bonkers. You can't do that. So does this deal mean that Jordan Love is gone?
I don't think it would be shocking if they traded Jordan Love. They said they won't do it, but they should. If there's a team out there who liked Jordan Love, who would be willing to give up a second round pick, no
one's going to put a second round pick for Jordan Love.
Okay, really?
I don't think so.
Okay,
they would have traded him for a second round pick. They can say what they want. Aaron Rodgers is back.
Off at a second round pick. They're trading him.
Jordan Love ain't playing.
No, he's not playing. But that's part of the
If
problem.
you were a team that needed a quarterback, would you rather give up a second round pick for Jordan Love or Jimmy Garoppolo?
Oh,
well, what's your status as a team?
Do you need a quarterback?
I'll take a shot in the dark. Take Jordan Love.
Seahawks.
I'll take Jordan Love. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is terrible.
The who?
Seahawks.
I would take Jimmy G over.
Oh, you guys don't agree on that. That's
yeah,
fun.
but I'm not a Jimmy G fan.
Why not?
Why not? Why would I be? I don't understand why Jimmy G is good.
He's been to multiple. The Colts, Jordan Love or Jimmy G. So I think that's a Jimmy G situation.
Jimmy G. I want the veteran. I want the proven veteran.
Yeah, he might be okay there.
Panthers. I think you take the upside with Jordan Love and hoping you hit on something.
It would be Sam Darnold if you took Jimmy Garoppolo on that team. It'd be the exact same thing.
I mean, that's rude to Jimmy.
I think if you feel like you're a Super Bowl contender, you take Garoppolo. If you're on the fence or lower, you take Love.
What's lower than the fence?
Well,
the Panthers are lower than the fence.
Yeah, the Panthers are lower than the fence. I think
the Panthers, whether they know it or not, are lower than the fence.
I'm trying to visualize what the lower than the fence looks like. Like you're in the ground.
The team that should take a stab at Jordan Love is the Atlanta Falcons. Or I guess you draft your own guy because you only got 2 years left. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
And here's the other thing: like a lot of teams may not like Jordan Love. Don't forget the Packers traded up to get him.
Yeah,
they could have one pick after the 49ers trade for Brandon Ayuk, which I'm sure the Packers would much rather have right now. And
it's entirely possible teams just don't like Jordan
Love.
Or
what about Washington?
Yeah, sorry, Devo.
Well, he's under contract 2 more years very cheaply, and if he beat out Carson Wentz, you have 2 quarterbacks on your roster, and you let him battle it out.
Carson Wentz or Jordan Love, Wilson, for 2022.
Oh, come on. Jordan Love.
I'm telling you, in this man's mind, he believes Bailey Zappi is a better 2022 week 1 starter than Carson Wentz.
Who did I say? Do you remember, Debo? I'm on the record for Jimmy Garoppolo or Jordan or Wentz. I don't know where I'm at on that.
No, Jimmy G. You were definitive in that.
Oh, that's an easy one.
I can't remember that.
I think Wilson. I think Debo might take Jimmy G over Wentz.
No way.
Jimmy G. That's 100% fair.
Oh, okay. All right.
You said like the current version of Dennis Dixon. I think you said over Carson Wentz.
Big Ben or Carson Wentz.
I'll take Big Ben in 10 years over Carson Wentz in 2017.
My God. All right, let's take a break and we'll turn down the troll meter and we'll find some losers from the day 2 of free agency, including the Cowboys, who got scoop slammed by one of their pass rushers. So the Dallas Cowboys convinced DeMarcus Lawrence. They won in a big way. DeMarcus Lawrence took a smaller deal. And David Cantor came out and said it on the radio with, I think, 105.3 The Fan. And that's DeMarcus Lawrence's agent. He said, look, and don't get me wrong, DeMarcus Lawrence got a good deal. He got 3 years, $30 million, fully guaranteed.
Okay. And we lost Brinson. DeMarcus Lawrence did get a fantastic deal because it's not often you see a defender get a fully guaranteed contract. And the Cowboys were on a roll. And Wilson, did they find this extra money in their couch cushion? Because I thought the Cowboys were short on cash going into free agency. I know they did restructure a few deals, namely Dak Prescott's. And so it looked like, boom, they were going to keep DeMarcus Lawrence. They did. And then, boom, it looked like they were going to keep Randy Gregory, and they didn't.
Yeah, I think DeMarcus Lawrence actually had 7 straight years of guaranteed money. Welcome back, Brinson. Hope your potty break was fruitful for you.
Chrome just crashes once.
So we were... Breech just set it up. DeMarcus Lawrence got paid. Cowboys didn't have less salary cap space.
He took a pay cut.
No,
we heard more guaranteed money in order to stay in Dallas and to try to help the team out. I mean, presumably one of those moves would be to sign Randy Gregory.
Right. They were supposed to sign Randy Gregory. Randy Gregory actually liked a tweet from Patrick Walker of CBS Sports in which Patrick Walker explained that the deal was in place. They were a few, $4 or $5 million apart. Randy Gregory sounded like he was making some concessions, and then at the last minute they tried to do the old switcheroo on Randy Gregory, and he said peace out, and then promptly agreed to terms with the Broncos. The Broncos sent out a tweet with Stephen Colbert gif going surprise, which was pretty funny. The deal is not official yet because I don't think it'd be official till Wednesday, so perhaps there's some room for the Cowboys to sort of undo what they did, but I would imagine Randy Gregory's not happy with it. There are also reports, I think Patrick Walker tweeted this out, that Jerry Jones is livid with how this unfolded. And, if he truly wanted Randy Gregory, I don't blame him.
Randy Gregory, his last 3 likes are Patrick Walker's like. Charles Robinson, of Yahoo, reported that Randy Gregory reversal of the Broncos was 100% a matter of the Cowboys tinkering with contract language at the last moment. Like it or not, you can't come in with that maneuver when there's another team on hold just waiting for an opening. And Jeff Kavanaugh, formerly of radio there, I think said that, or I think it was or he was talking about it. It was reported, regardless, that the Cowboys essentially were trying to build in protections based on Randy Gregory's history.
Fine. Don't do it in the 11th hour. How about that?
Correct.
Well, and the funny thing is we also have Clarence Hill from Today, Cowboys beat writer, and maybe this is the Cowboys side of thing, but he says, per sources, the language in Randy Gregory's contract is standard in every Cowboys contract. It is in Michael Gallup and DeMarcus Lawrence's contract. It was not specified language for Gregory. A player could lose bonuses or guarantees if that player is fined or suspended. But if it's standard in every contract, it feels like...
Why do they have to tinker at the last second?
Right, exactly. So it's a little weird.
Yeah.
Cowboys are in damage control right now.
It's going to be hilarious if it's in the Broncos contract and he signs that one anyway.
It was weird too because he got the exact same contract, and I was really surprised at the amount that he got. I mean, I think it's probably fair-ish market value. I mean, he had like 6 sacks. He was a really productive player, but he hadn't. This is his first season ever really, having a big year. He's been suspended 3 times. So I felt like I've written personally like 10 to 15, maybe 20 Randy Gregory suspension or update on suspension or reinstated stories over the, and I haven't written anything in like 2 years over the course of.
That's probably why Jerry Jones is livid. He probably thinking, look, I stood by this guy
right
through thick and thin, through every suspension.
I think he's mad at the Cowboys.
I think he's mad at everyone. I think he's mad at the
Cowboys.
He's
mad? Like, did we?
He's mad at the Cowboys for blowing this. He's mad at Gregory for spurning him and stiffing him over and going to Denver. It would seem like Jerry Jones is probably mad at every single person involved in this situation.
Did we get a quote from Jerry Jones?
No, there's a report. I think actually Patrick Walker may tweet it out that Jerry Jones is livid, I believe was the word.
Yeah, I'm told Jerry Jones is livid. You're right. Good call. So he bounces to Denver for the exact same contract. What is it? $28 million guaranteed, $70 million over 5 years.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's $14 million a year. When you look at that
ain't Christian Kirk, buddy.
Well, I was looking at pass rusher edge contracts, and I think it's kind of fair. So like $14 million is, I mean, it's below Trey Hendrickson and Danielle Hunter, both of whom I would rather have than Randy Gregory. It's more than DeMarcus Lawrence, but DeMarcus Lawrence took a pay cut and his is fully guaranteed. Like Gregory's, $28 million guaranteed over 5 years. I mean, that's probably really a 2-year deal at $14 million. And then we'll see if everything's fine. And then like Preston Smith is 13, Yannick Ngakoue 13, JPP 12.5. I think that's kind of fair where he slots out there in terms of.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with it. In fact, would you rather have Randy Gregory or Von Miller, who apparently is now interested in the Cowboys?
I would have Von Miller for 2022.
Yeah, for 2022, but for a 5-year deal, I mean,
yeah,
I think it's
Gregory
close.
probably has a little bit more upside.
I don't know if you said this. Were you quoting Ed Werder? Who are you quoting, Breech, with the tweet that you explained?
Clarence Hill, but Ed Werder just tweeted out something similar.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I noticed that, and that's where I got the Von Miller note from. That he may end up in Dallas. He has a home nearby, apparently. That's not a bad consolation prize either. I'm assuming it won't be a 5-year deal. It might be a 2 or 3 year deal or something.
Yeah, I think it's really more like a 2-year deal with the signing bonus. In other words, Gregory is getting a decent signing bonus now. You spread it out over 5 years. He's got the $28 million in there that it makes it $14 million a year, but it's probably like a 2-year, $28 million deal that can be continued if the team wants. It's like a we'll see. I mean, look, if I'm the Cowboys and I get Von Miller out of it, and that was reported by Jane Slater, I think that it was actually a legitimately possible scenario. I'd rather have Von Miller for next year, but it does stink to draft this guy. Like you go through 3 suspensions with him. He probably cost your team, like sticking by him probably cost you the opportunity to get more pass rushers who could have helped your team maybe win more playoff games.
They go through themselves.
You go through all this just to get laughed at by a Stephen Colbert gif.
They did it to themselves.
Ho, ho, ho! Up high, down hard. Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, Breech.
No, it's like working at I don't know, like a recovery facility, and then you're nah, that's not good. I can't think of the analogy. Breech is better than that. But the point is this: put in the initial put in the initial contract. Don't put it in the contract that in the last minute allows Randy Gregory to moonwalk out of the building.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Okay. We actually have the Jaguars listed on here as losers. We talked about them already, but I mean, just to circle back on it, they've spent more money than anybody in free agency. I mean, it just feels like one of those Miami Dolphins or Jacksonville Jaguars off seasons where they attract these B-level free agents. I mean, Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk and Zay Jones have upside, but those are not like top shelf. I mean, they have Marvin Jones and Laviska Shenault. They have
There's some conversation that Laviska might be traded.
I mean, I go get Laviska. I love Laviska. It's just a mashup of okay guys. Now, if Trevor Lawrence takes a big step forward under Doug Peterson and the offensive line can protect him, he'll make all these guys look a lot better. And some of these guys might have a big seasons. But it's just hard to look at it. This feels like almost like last year with the Jaguars, where they couldn't, because Trent Baalke's not well liked around the league, they couldn't go out and get marquee free, or even if there aren't really even any marquee free agents, but it seems clear they can't get Teron Armstead, or otherwise they would have, right?
Well, I mean, Breech just noted that maybe Teron's waiting for Deshaun. And that was promptly stolen on Twitter by someone not named Will Brinson, which is pretty amazing.
Wait, somebody said that like immediately after, or was it Breech?
What's funny though is that with Jacksonville, they do seem a little bit more competent knowing that Doug Peterson's the coach. Whereas if Urban Meyer was still there, we'd all be laughing about this and say, "Oh my God, they're going 2-15. They just blew $250 million." But with Peterson, you actually think, you know what? Maybe they're putting the pieces together here to get the 6 or 7 wins. Maybe not compete for a playoff spot, but it does seem like they're going to be better.
Look, if the Texans obviously aren't going to be playing Deshaun Watson, and if the Colts don't figure out their quarterback situation, yeah, the circling globe on the Champions League thing is very annoying. I was getting really distracted by it.
Yeah.
I was like trying not to look at it. But like if the Colts don't really figure out their quarterback situation and the Texans aren't good, I mean, the Jaguars could easily be the second best team in this division.
Yeah, not easily. I think a lot has to happen.
I mean, let's say the Colts end up.
What are the Debo? Do you have the playoff odds handy on the Jaguars? Is that a big ask while you scramble?
Playoff odds are tougher to come by right now.
He needs the division odds.
The division odds. Sorry, yeah,
division
that's
odds
what I
get
mean,
for you.
Noted sharp. Right.
I have a sharp.
Do you have the football odds for the Jaguars, Debo?
The oval ball odds. So you had those handy. I was going to say.
So the Titans are the favorite. Oh my God, we need to bet the Titans. What do you think the Titans are? But don't put it up yet, Debo. Hold on, if you can.
Better. Given your response, like minus 140.
Yeah, minus 120.
Minus 105.
Ooh.
What are they thinking there? Is it?
I think it's the same thing. Brinson's done a good job of kind of relaying this. We were talking about it yesterday with the Saints and the Panthers that you don't want to get burnt if one of those teams trades for Deshaun Watson. And I think that's the thing here with the Colts is the odds makers don't want to get burnt if Indy ends up with a competent quarterback.
Did you see the article in the Las Vegas Review-Journal from today?
Yeah. I actually canceled my subscription last month, so I missed it.
Okay.
What did it say?
Breech, did you see this article?
I did see it.
So Jay Cornegie of the Sportsbook or Westgate, is it Sportsbook USA or whatever they're called now? Like Superbook was being and moaning to this reporter about claiming there was, quote, inside information.
I saw that. I saw the headline. Okay, go ahead.
That allowed bettors to come in he was like, these are sharp bettors. These just aren't like random players. They're like respected bettors. Yeah, Wilson types. And they came in and laid a bunch of money on the Bucs at 60-1 to win the Super Bowl. And it was before Tom Brady came back. And it's like, dude, I mean, I guess there's inside information, or you could read the article that came out every single day in a different like paper or on Pro Football Talk or on like a Tom Brady's Instagram, where it was very, very clear that this guy was not decided. On February 7th, Tom Brady said to Jim Gray, never say never. Like he was opening it up the entire time.
And as Wilson pointed out on February 1st, Brady's retirement announcement didn't even mention retirement.
Correct.
You know what? Also, it's 60-1. I mean, I think the odds were actually shorter than that when they won it the first time. Like with Jameis,
probably right.
I think they were.
Yeah, and so like you could have read the tea leaves and shortened those numbers. You know, you could have, and they dropped it out of 35-1, and he got hit again. I mean, you know, that's that. I don't buy that was inside information, but I do believe the opposite of what we were talking about, where the Bucs at Caesars, the Bucs and the 49ers were shortened on purpose to avoid getting burnt by Brady. Sportsbook did the opposite, and they have some exposure. Now you can also, you know, you complain, and now what happens when the Bucs don't win the Super Bowl? You know, all of a sudden you got a nice little 6-figure profit there.
Or what happens when the Texans keep Deshaun Watson at plus 2,500? Then they're really screwed.
Yeah, then you're really hosed. I think the Titans are a bet there for sure.
So what's the math on the Texans again? Just we don't know the quarterback situation because we sort of do.
Well, it's the Texans are going to be bad.
Not much worse than the Jaguars. More than 3 times worse than the Jaguars.
I don't know. Yeah, that's probably an off number. I mean, Derrick Henry and Brian Tannehill get hurt. Texans can win the division, I guess.
I mean, I sort of like the plus 2,500.
Yeah, I think the Trevor Lawrence factor, Doug Peter. It's the same thing we're talking about. The respect for the Jaguars.
And why are the Colts plus 150 with no quarterback?
It's got to be. I don't even know what trade is protecting against.
I think honestly, if we're doing odds on Baker, I think Baker is Indy and Seattle.
Well, you know what's funny though about the Brady thing is literally the same exact situation happened in March 2020. There was a gambler in Vegas who put $500 on Tampa to win the Super Bowl at 50-1, put $45,000 or put $1,000 on the Buccaneers to win the Super Bowl at 45-1, and this was all before Brady signed with the Buccaneers.
Yeah, just guessing. Yeah,
I mean, guessing, inside information, but it's the same. Yeah, right. He could have been guessing. It could have been inside information. You don't know, but it's the same principle at work here. That if you think, you know, this isn't an integrity of the game thing where Tom Brady lost his playbook and someone found it and now they're betting one way or the other. This is a guy made a decision, and you know, I don't think there's anything for the NFL to investigate here. I think this is just
this is somebody in Vegas who has a sizable gambling bankroll, is shopping around online on the various apps and looking to see, and he's like reading these stories, about Brady is on the fence and Brady's telling Fred Couples, like, I don't know what my future holds, and like leaving gigantic breadcrumbs all over the place. And he finds a 60-1 and he hammers it. Like I said, I mean, if I'd seen a 60-1, I would have hammered it too. Because they just haven't been out there. You know, it's been like, in fact, the Super Bowl odds have in a lot of places been taken off because of there's so much stuff out there that was going to change. You know, again, the Broncos for the last, 24 months have been, or 12 months or whatever it is, have been 20-1 or less because of fear of Aaron Rodgers being traded to him. Now it went up during the season, but it came back down this offseason. I mean, when they opened them up,
the Colts at plus 150. What do you think happens if they trade for Jimmy Garoppolo?
I mean,
probably plus 2,500.
I think that the price won't fluctuate much. I think they are baking in that the Colts have to find somebody at quarterback, whether it's Baker or Jimmy G. Like if the Texans were in a different division and the Colts were possibly trading for Deshaun Watson, I think the Colts would be maybe even minus money. But I think that plus 150 there's a lot of respect for the Colts roster. Jimmy G is a capable quarterback, especially with that sort of setup where you're running the ball a ton, play action. I just think the Titans are clearly the best team in the division, though. I don't.
So just to wrap this up. So Tom Brady, when did he end up in Tampa Bay? When did he arrive there?
Mid-March.
Mid-March,
yeah.
2020, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So their Super Bowl odds in January of that year were plus 5,000.
50 to 1.
Yeah. Yes.
And now this is from SI, and the Super Bowl odds when Tom Brady retired, quote unquote, was plus 2,000. Now it's down to plus 800. I'm not sure of the book here, but so plus 5,000 when prior to Tom Brady's arrival the first time, plus 2,000 after this season when they were a better football team, I think, than they were before Tom Brady's arrival, but still had no quarterback. Just so
right. And I'm saying it's the same situation where somebody bet on the fact that Brady might play for this team, whether in 2020, whether it's signing with the Bucs or returning to the Bucs this year, and the gamble paid off.
But it's an even worse move by sportsbook because like we didn't know that Tom Brady might go to the Bucs. That was
right.
That was you were predicting what Tom Brady might do in terms of picking between several teams, all of whom would love to have Tom Brady. Whereas this was simply maybe the greatest football player of all time who said he wants to play till he's 45 and has like made it kind of unclear what he's definitely going to do, could come back to the team that has his rights. I mean, it's just you hung a bad number, take the L.
And you know what's funny about this? You know the big winner is going to be Jay and the guys over at the Superbook because the Buccaneers aren't winning the Super Bowl.
Right, the Packers will win the Super Bowl.
All right, that's the other thing.
Yeah, like I mean, you're whining to the paper. Like, what do you?
And by the way, I like Jay.
I don't know Jay. I'm sure he's a nice guy.
Very nice guy. Hooked me up when I was out there for the Super Bowl when you guys were in Arizona watching Russell Wilson throw.
Oh, I'll bring this up because I love it when you bring up that Super Bowl. It was you and Jamie Erdahl. How would you say your careers have gone since then between you and Jamie?
Jesus.
I'm hovering, and she shot up like a superstar.
I'm treading water, and she is on the mid.
Right, she's on top of the mountain, and Breech is drowning.
Okay. Anything else? Did we mention the Jaguars release Miles Jack? Yeah. Titans cut Janoris Jenkins.
Oh, the Buccaneers did trade for Shaq Mason from the Patriots. Got a 5th round pick is all it cost. So they lose Ali Marpet to retirement. Alex Kappa signs with Breech's Bengals, and they get better at one of the guard positions, which is pretty impressive. I don't know what the Patriots are thinking other than saving some cap space, but
well, I'm glad you brought that up, Wilson, because I was going to mention the Patriots in my losers when we were talking about the losers, but I was like, nope, Belichick's not a loser because he's doing something here, something diabolical. But you look at what the Patriots have done in the past 48, 72 hours. They released Kyle Van Noy. They traded Shaq Mason. They let Ted Karras go in free agency. They traded Chase Winovich. They're just dumping starters left and right. They're clearing cap space. What is their end game here? What are they going to do with this cap space? I don't know. I think
one of the things I heard was
La'el Collins.
Right. They were sniffing around La'el Collins of the Cowboys. And obviously nothing's happened yet, but maybe perhaps that's something to keep an eye on. But I mean, still, I like La'el Collins, but Shaq Mason was pretty good too. So I'm not sure the long plan.
But the Patriots have been dumping salary cap and adding nothing. So they are going to be a team to watch, it feels like, over the next 24, 48 hours.
Well, hopefully they trade 2 first-round picks for Mason Rudolph.
The Broncos signed DJ Jones to a 3-year, $30 million deal, which is interesting. There's been a couple defensive tackles, BJ Hill, and then who was the other one that got a – it was like sort of the same type of deal.
I think the guy that went to the Jaguars.
The 3 years, $30 million?
Yeah, it's like 3 years, $30 million for just an up-and-coming sort of under-the-radar defensive tackle. Kind of like it. Johnny Hecker released by the Rams.
Sad.
Some stuff that happened. Some stuff that happened like kind of like late night last night.
So Foley Fadukasi, 3-year, $30 million for the Jaguars.
He's not the fullback, right?
Defensive tackle.
Okay, who's the fullback they signed?
I don't think he signed a fullback. He signed a linebacker. For
Johnny Hecker getting cut on the Ides of March. Rams stabbing him in the back after 10 years with the team. 4 Pro Bowl appearances, 4 first-team All-Pros.
A2 Sean.
The 4th best net punting average in the NFL last year. Hecker is going to somebody's going to swoop in there and sign him.
You also predicted that he was going to get cut before last season because they had somebody else on the roster that was just as good a punter.
And it was a year late, so.
Yes.
But that's because they had Bjork as last year.
That's right.
And I thought he would win the punting competition.
Who?
And
Bjork is.
I think
Corey Bjork.
His favorite band, as we
prog rock from progressive prog rock, progressive 90s prog rock from the Netherlands, or like wherever she's from.
She's from Iceland or Finland, I think. I don't know why.
Yeah, progressive prog rock from Iceland and progressive.
And when you said prog rock, I should have known because you don't know capitals. I thought you meant Czechoslovakia, prog rock.
No, I meant progressive rock.
I get it, but it would have been funnier if you meant Czechoslovakia rock, like prog.
I may have meant that. I don't know. The Chiefs restructure, or they're giving Frank Clark an extension, 2-year, $29 million deal.
Oh, they did. I didn't see that. Okay, that's good because there's some conversation he might get dealt.
Yep, and also
Andrew Whitworth retired.
Did
we mention that?
The Chiefs also signed Justin Reed to a 3-year, $31.5 million deal, which presumably signals the end of
Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah, no, I think it does.
Kansas City.
Worth noting, by the way, Breech has interrupted us twice. Wants to talk about a punter and wants to talk about Andrew Whitworth, 48 years old, retiring. Just give it a second. We'll get.
I just want to talk about the Rams. Just want to give the Rams some love. A lot of Rams fans on this podcast.
I don't know if Bjork is prog rock, by the way. I was just kind of throwing.
No, she's not. She's like emo, I think, right?
Yeah, like Iceland emo 90s music.
I asked Sean with that.
Breech, did you know I don't think you've been on the appearances, so I don't know if you know, but did you know that I've snuck in
Tyrann Mathieu
on HQ hits when I'm talking, and then I'll like stop and pause and hit the button. Maybe you're on for one of them.
I was watching one of them.
Yeah, they get a pretty.
You keep doing it? You've done it more than once?
I did it with Brandon the other day, and he was like, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah, he has no idea. He doesn't listen to podcasts.
Hakeem got it and liked it.
I'm glad you've milked that thing for all it's worth.
Although Brandon did ask for me to play it one more time on the way out.
I guarantee you totally asked him to ask you. Another winner, John Feliciano and Mark Lewinsky, offensive lineman signings by the Giants. So if the plan is to protect Danny Dimes, I feel like that's at least a step in the right direction.
Yep. Breech did mention Andrew Whitworth retiring. That is worth noting. Not surprising, but man, you talk about going out on top. He went out as a Super Bowl champion and the Walter Payton Man of the Year. I'm not sure you can top that.
And he went out by beating the team that drafted him and gave up on him because they thought he was washed up 5 years ago.
Yep.
Brinson has him as a Hall of Famer, according to our episode in December of 2020 as well.
Ooh, I Whitworth and Ben Roethlisberger in the same class.
Whitworth gets in. I'll say this: Whitworth gets in before Matthew Stafford.
Come on.
Well, yeah, because he retired.
Yeah, because he's gonna. I think Whitworth's a Hall of Famer.
4-time Pro Bowler, and you play till 40. I know Pro Bowls shouldn't measure everything, but come on.
2-time.
Even Debo's drawing the line.
I would bet that
you think everyone's a Hall of Famer, so that's a problem with your
All right.
Hall of Fame pick.
I'll remember this when I'm not on the podcast in 5 years.
I hate to give Wilson's team any credit, but I think the Steelers are also a winner by adding Levi Wallace and James Daniels.
Yeah, James Daniels huge. By the way, we're going to be the AFC North version of the Bears. So, hello, 8.5 wins.
Wait, so Debo, you're like just snuffing away the idea that Andrew Whitworth was a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, super great career. Obviously, a super great guy, Walter Payton Man of the Year. But I side on Wilson's side sometimes when we're throwing everybody in Canton.
Well,
I'm very conservative about who goes to Canton.
I think you could argue that. Yeah, that's what he's saying. I think you could argue that he was the best player at his position twice, at least for multiple years.
Is that enough times? Now you're turning me on my
right.
You know who was tweeting about Andrew Whitworth's retirement? The Hall of Fame.
Ooh.
We do not need to extend this for a Hall of Fame offensive lineman conversation, but I would be upset if Whitworth got in over former Eagle Jason Peters.
I think they're both.
Oh, that's fair.
They're just both going to get in.
Everyone can't get in. And it's hilarious to me that you want to put everyone in except Ben Roethlisberger.
If you played for 16 years, won a Super Bowl, and are a 2-time All-Pro, 2-time first-team All-Pro, and are like generally beloved by the media,
16 years. That's 12.5% of the time you're an All-Pro.
You guys scoffed at me. Now I'm turning this into an Eagles. You guys scoffed at me saying Jason Kelce was a Hall of Famer.
Did I scoff at that? I can't remember. I scoffed.
4-time first-team All-Pro at his position. I would say the best center in 15 years. All right, I'm sorry.
I think 17 years for Jason Peters is going to get him in.
All right, I just marked it in the calendar. June 19th, we will hold our Andrew Whitworth Hall of Fame debate.
All right,
we don't need to hold it right now.
That'll be me and Brinson's birthday week, so perfect. You and Debo can talk about that for 3 hours.
All right, that's it for the show for Tuesday's reaction. If for some reason Deshaun Watson's traded, obviously we will go emergency podcast. That's probably the only emergency podcast we have. Baker traded or Jimmy G traded. qualify.
So Brinson saying if a starting quarterback gets traded, we will
Just so you know, I have Old Man Soccer tonight from 8:45 to 10:30 p.m. So
Yes.
I will not be
If
available.
a starting caliber quarterback gets traded, we'll do an emergency podcast, which means if Carson Wentz gets traded again, we won't do an emergency podcast. That's it for the show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. For Wilson and Breech, I am Brinson. We will see you guys later.